Hello and welcome back, everybody. We are live here with Lightning Speed Racing for the first round of the Le Mans Ultimate debut season. Now, we did have a prologue last week in Portugal, which led to some very spicy racing, and it was won by the BMW of Mikhail Frokov, who's currently P4 on our current timings, but this time it is for points. We are here in the Kingdom of Bahrain at the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakir, Bahrain. We are using the Grand Prix layout that they use Formula One and also the World Endurance Championship. 6.363 miles or 5.412 kilometers around with 15 corners. It is a very good track for testing. It's got a good amount of variety. It's got a good amount of long straights, high, low, and medium speed corners. And then you also have several bits of elevation changes going on here. So, first off, welcome everybody. First race of the official season is underway. We're going to have more cars this time around and some new faces. So just to kind of explain what's going on here at the moment. Right now we are currently in the second half of practice. We figured it would be good to give you guys some kind of rough idea of the driver's pace before we go ahead and get into the qualifying session, which once this timer runs out, then we'll go ahead and get started with qualifying. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that. And then we have 1 hour of racing here today in Bahrain. It's going to be fun. It'll be a 1 hour race like we had in Portugal, and just a lot of interesting racing going on today. So we're going to go on board with one of the other Toyotas on track today. This one is driven by Joseph German. Wasn't here last time, but this is so as a rule change that we have implemented is that now we can use the 2023 spec cars as well, which is why you are seeing the white Toyotas. We have nicknamed them the Haas Toyotas, so it is probably how you'll hear me refer to them throughout the stream. We also have some other new cars currently going on track, so the white Toyotas will be referred to as the Haas Toyotas, while the black ones will still just be referred to as the TGR Toyotas, or Toyota Gazoo Racing. We also have quite a few other new cars on track at the moment. We'll go ahead and see if we can find any of them. Bradley Kennedy was a very strong driver in the Proton Porsches last time out. We'll see if he can do better this time, although I believe last time he was actually in one of the Hertz Jota Porsches. So, same car, but different livery this time for the South African driver. At least going based on the flag he has there. Alex Afonso is still repping the Lamborghini. This time he has a Lamborghini teammate he didn't quite have one last time out, so this will be a new experience for him. Nico Perez, also one of the drivers in the Glickenhaus. I believe last time he was in the art car Glickenhaus that they used for Le Mans. This time he is in the regular Glickenhaus. I do wish we could see the red one, but unfortunately that was a 2022 spec. Actually, no, sorry, it just loaded in, or the lighting just went ahead and decided to play nice. He is still driving the art car, the number 708 Glickenhaus machine of Nico Perez. Going to go ahead and just pop on to some other drivers currently on track. We have Stellano, who is currently in one of the Chip Ganassi Cadillacs. Always good to see more American machines on track. Always good to see more cars on track in general, regardless of where they're from. Daniel Krebs is a new driver, this time racing for Isotta Fraschini, I believe. So that is, oh, never mind, he is in one of the Peugeots. I got the wrong number. But we do have an Isotta this time, and a Van Wall, so we are running both Van Walls. This first Van Wall driven by Christian Tenorelio. I apologize if I butcher that. He is driving what we call the gold Van Wall. If we get the other Van Wall on track, you'll go ahead and see the difference. So the visual difference here is that the gold Van Wall has gold lettering, like the Floyd and the Van Wall V on the dorsal fin of the car, and also the stripe is also gold. So we're going to be referring to this car as the Van Wall Gold. We're also running both of the Isotta Fraschinis. which we have we're going to call them the Isotta Fraschini Blue, then the Isotta Fraschini Black if we get it, the black version being the version that was used in their last WEC appearance, which was Brazil. They ran with they had black on their car for the front nose cone and the rear, instead of the typical red and blue. So that is just how we are telling the difference on some of these cars. Just some visual differences. Frokev this time is running the BMW art car. So it's always awesome to see these art cars on track. I love art cars. Honestly, I think more teams should do it more often. Just looking at YouTube chat. Force of habit. But yeah, so just to answer the comment in chat, we are planning on having multi-class racing for future seasons, but just to kind of test the waters, we are sticking with hypercar exclusively throughout the entirety of the season. But we do have quite a few hypercars, so we will see some very intense racing between some of these cars. I mean, there's a lot of really good battles last time out. I mean, battles between Lamborghini and Alpine were very strong last time out of Portugal. Obviously, the rivalry that we've seen from Toyota and BMW come to light. The session in Portimao just absolutely insane. And then we had that dramatic moment where Mark Santos, the number 7 Toyota, unfortunately had a spin, which cost him his lead. And just ultimately cost him a race win, giving it to the number 20 BMW of Mikhail Frokov. So, something I will go ahead and note is that if you guys have any requests for any cars you would like to see us go on board with, just go ahead and type it in chat, and I will go ahead and do an onboard with that driver. So if you want to see an onboard with the Isotta Fraschini, we can go ahead and do that. We just kind of go on board right now with the Isotta Fraschini of Brandon Dills. Almost collides with the Ferrari Machende. I believe last time Machende was actually in a Toyota. If it goes to PS5, I will race GT3. I mean, yeah, the GT3 cars are pretty fun. I've driven a few of them. Most of the cars I've driven are the hypercars, but I do enjoy driving enjoy driving GT3 cars. This game is surprisingly not bad on controller, because I've actually been playing on the Red Bull Racing Stuff controller, and it's honestly been pretty nice. I can't really complain about it. Now we're going on true on board with the Isotta Fraschini. As we'll kind of watch it go through one more lap. If you guys, like I said, if you guys have any onboard requests, go ahead and let me know in the Twitch chat below. Go on to, all right, we're seeing some support for Toyota here in chat. You love to see it. We love to see drivers coming in here representing their favorite brands, and then also people coming into the stream and representing their favorite brands. It's always awesome to see. It just shows that the reach of the fans, or the reach that these brands have for their fans, is absolutely amazing. Seeing some Toyota love already in chat. Speaking of Toyota, let's go on board with a Toyota, if there's one currently on track. We will go ahead and see. Oh, yep, there is a. Oh, no, that's not a Toyota. See if we have a Toyota on track here that we can go on board with. I don't believe there are. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we have any Toyotas currently on track at the moment. If I see one, I will go ahead and jump to it. Alright, now we're seeing some actual decent debates here. We got Cadillac's gonna win, Toyota 2OP. If James shows he's gonna win. So, awesome interactions going on in chat. Love to see it. Be sure you guys drop a like and subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already. We have 6 races this season, so 5 more after this, including the 2.4 hours of Le Mans next Saturday at the same starting time. You guys will definitely not want to miss it. It will be double points for everybody involved, so get ready for that. It is going to be a blast. I mean, when has racing at Le Mans ever been boring? All right, so we're going to go on board now with... We're going to go over one of the Lamborghinis. We'll go on board with Alex Alfonso. The only Lamborghini from last time out. We'll just have to see if he can improve his results. He was close to a podium last time out, just could not quite get it done. But we know that penalties were actually not applied last time in the prologue, so this time they are. So we're going to definitely see some drivers make some errors, possibly, and then get those penalties. There are some really tricky braking zones on this track. I mean, just some corners that can come to mind. Turn 1, obviously, has a really steep braking point. For some of the cars that have kind of lesser brakes or anything else, it is pretty tough to nail turn 1 if you miss your braking zone. And then you also obviously have the turns 9 and 10. That really tricky double right-hander that has a pretty subtle but noticeable elevation change. So that one's going to be very tricky. Now we're going to actually switch up to... Okay, so I think all the Toyotas who are currently sitting 1, 2, and 3 on our practice time session. We are in practice at the moment, so the qualifying and racing hasn't begun just yet. We did see BMW get pole position last time. So, I mean, anything is possible here. We'll actually hop on board with Michel Bonalumi, the other Lamborghinis on track at the moment. I saw a lot. Actually, you know what? Let's do Cadillac. Let's go ahead and get some Cadillac love. That is not what I meant when I said Cadillac love. The Cadillac of Stiliano Hilla having a few problems off track. That is not ideal for Cadillac. Cadillac had probably the worst fortune out of any manufacturer last time out. I don't believe any of the Cadillacs finished in Portimao, so it's been a rough start for them. But luckily there wasn't any points on the table, so everybody starts from a clean slate here. Alright, Speed Ultra, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you again next time when we head to Le Mans. Or maybe later on in the stream, because we have a 1-hour race after qualifying, so you'll definitely want to be around for that. So we're seeing some new cars coming in on track. We're going to go on board with one of the other Cadillacs, Nathan Perron. I believe this is another Chip Ganassi Cadillac. Toyota favorite because of its strong front build. You know, that makes sense. I can see that. I mean, we just have to look at the last 4 seasons of the WEC and just, I mean, it's pretty easy to see that Toyota, ever since this new hypercar regulation cycles came out, Toyota has been firing on all cylinders. They've done extremely well. I'm pretty sure they've won championships in every single season. But they are on a 2-race losing streak at Le Mans to Ferrari. Which is pretty funny that the only races that Ferrari has won so far, to my knowledge, in this current regulation cycle is at Le Mans. So I guess Ferrari might be Le Mans merchants. We might see that here too at Lightning Speed Racing. We have seen some interesting things happen here. I mean, we've seen Lamborghinis and Alpines fighting for podiums, even a Glickenhaus fighting for a podium at one point in early stages of Portimao. And we also saw BMW basically take a dominant win as soon as Toyota had a spin in the gravel. So, definitely have to see how this race plays out. All right. 20 seconds left on this session. So right now your top 3 are Mark Santos, Robin Machende, and Joseph German. Those are our top 3 right now. You have one of the Toyotas, you have a Ferrari, and then you have one of the Haas Toyotas, being the white Toyota. So, we're going to be racing soon. And yes, Nico Perez, good to see you, mate. Best of luck to you in the Glicken House. Can't wait to see how you guys do. Some drivers are driving different cars than the last time out. Dan Wilson was actually in a Glicken House last time out. This time he is in one of the Team WRT BMWs. So we are seeing some drivers. Johnny Luna was also in a Ferrari last time out, and this time I believe he's in a Porsche, one of the Hertz Joda Porsches. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is practice done and dusted. Now we have 15 minutes of qualifying. Are we going to see another BMW pole position? Or are we going to go ahead and see Toyota dominance? Or are we going to see something completely in left field, like maybe a Van Wall getting a pole position? Pretty unlikely, considering that the Van Wall does have a few disadvantages compared to some of the other cars, including a 6-speed gearbox instead of a 7-speed, and then obviously be rear-wheel drive with no hybrid system, which is unlike some of its more front-running competitors, such as the Ferraris and the Toyotas. But so, are we going to even see a potential Ferrari pole position? We'll have to go ahead and check it out. Gotta wait till it comes to PS5. It hasn't quite been ported to console yet, but I mean, if you were on PlayStation, you wouldn't be able to play online right now anyway, because Sony servers have been down for quite a while. I think it's been like 14 hours for Sony servers. Luckily, that's not a problem here. With 14 hours of Sony servers being down, well, we have 14 minutes of qualifying left to go. Qualifying is just started though, so obviously a lot of these drivers are going to go ahead and take their laps. So if you have a particular car that you want me to go on board with, just go ahead and let me know, and we'll go ahead and switch to that car. But we do have some very excellent racing coming up ahead. So we're going to go ahead, and I believe the AF Corsa of Rovin Mashende, actually he was in the Toyota last time out, I believe, so a new car for him. He didn't have the best of weekends in that Toyota last time out, but maybe his fortunes will turn around now that he is part of the Tifosi. Don't remind me. Yeah. As somebody who mostly, who does play Gran Turismo on occasion on my PS4, I understand. It's been rough, but just hang in there. We'll get through it. Speaking of getting through and getting to things, we're going to go ahead and get started with the first laps here of qualifying around this Bahrain International Circuit. And we're going to stay with this Ferrari, as this Ferrari is going to go ahead and get the first lap started. We'll see where he goes. Now staying on board with the Ferrari. He's going to have to make it to turn one. Beautifully done. It is so easy to miss your braking point and then just go deep into turn one. Oh, but he loses at turn two. The Ferrari of Rovin Mashende goes way off track. And that's his run done, for now at least. So this time we'll go on board with one of the Haas Toyotas. We'll go on board with the number 8. Or the number 28 as we have it here. Of Joseph German, one of the other Toyotas. We'll go ahead and actually switch some things up here. It's a purple sector 1 now for Joseph. Sitting here in the number 8 Toyota. So far, so good for the Toyota driver. He's got a tow from the car ahead of him, which is one of the Chip Ganassi Cadillacs. Now, he made it through sector 2, which sector 2 is a very tricky part of this track, especially with turns 9 and 10. 20 drivers in server now. That is awesome to see. So, if you guys have a question about, is there only 9 cars on track? Cars on track. But, unfortunately, with the limitations of the HUD, we can only see the top 9 drivers. But that doesn't mean we're going to watch the top 9 drivers. We're going to go ahead and get on board with every driver we possibly can. And a little bit of dirty air coming away from Joseph German, because this is the second place fastest qualifying time of the session. Behind Dan Wilson, actually, who goes ahead and moves up into P1. Here's one of the BMWs. So BMW's definitely got the qualifying pace right now. The number 20 BMW WRT of Dan Wilson goes ahead and sits in pole position. Austin McGill in P2 with the other Haas Toyota. And then we have Michel Bonalumi in the Lamborghini. Currently P3 at the moment. So it's good stuff there for a lot of these drivers. And so far, we've had a pretty mixed up top three as it sits right now. We're going to go on board now with one of the other Cadillacs, the Cadillac Racing Machine of Steliano Hilla in one of the Chip Ganassi Cadillacs. Currently sitting in P8 with a time of a 1 minute 48.2. I mean, that's faster than the lap times I was hitting earlier. I was in the 150s. So still very solid times for these drivers. I mean, this track is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It's not as hard as like a Monaco would be, which, can you imagine trying to do like a 24-hour race in Monaco? Oh, I actually tried an endurance race on Monaco using a set of course, and that sounded like it hurt. I think I heard some kind of hit. I'm not sure where the hit would have been, but anyways, back on board with the Cadillac. We're actually going to go on board with the car as Delano goes ahead and finishes the rest of this lap. Also, the thing in chat that BMW needs at least 2 or 3 laps to warm up. Yeah, tires do take quite a bit of time to warm up, as I've noticed in this game. So it will take a hot second for the tires to get into the right operating window, with a lot of these drivers going to be running on the mediums, because I don't think there's softs available for these drivers to use, so it's pretty much between the medium and the hard. It's a primary and alternate tire if you follow IndyCar. Let's see where he sits. It's not an improved time. It is an improved time slightly, but still not quite enough. All right, we're gonna go ahead and bring back up the tower just so we can kind of see everyone's positions. So far, looking at the times here, the pole position time is a 1:47.983, set by Dan Wilson in the BMW. We're going to go on board with Formula Jonah, who is currently driving one of the Porsche Penske machines, the number 6. I don't believe he has set a lap yet. That's about to change. Actually, no, he has a 1:53.240. He is currently sitting in P16 for the squad of Porsche. Let's see. I mean, it is going to take a second for these tires to warm up, so we're going to see these lap times start falling once those tires get heated up some more. We'll stay on board with the Porsche Penske machine throughout the lap. And actually, Nathan Perron in the Cadillac is going to go and move up to P3. He's only less than a 10th off of the time set by the Ferrari. So Cadillac are already having a much better start if this sticks. Because if you remember from the prologue, Cadillac had atrocious luck in Portimao. This track might just suit the Cadillac better. We know the Cadillac is quick. It is, in my personal opinion, one of the best sounding cars available in Le Mans Ultimate. And also in general, I mean, that NASCAR V8 is just absolutely righteous at pace. So we're going to stay on board with Formula Jonah as he goes ahead and rounds the last few corners of this track. He's got just a few more corners left to go. I think he's actually only got the last corner left to go. And then he's going to be going onto the home straight here very, very shortly. We'll see if he goes ahead and makes an improvement. He's going to try to use all of the track. Or actually, no, he backed off. He backed off of that time. He let the Ferrari through. So now we're going to go ahead and go to Saman Said in the Peugeot. Currently on track at the moment. Currently sitting in P18 as it sits with a 1:55.413. Currently 7, almost 8 seconds away from the pole position time of Rovan Machete. who is currently P1 in the Ferrari. So it would already be a different pole position, or a different pole sitter, I should say, going into the first race of the season. Because we had a BMW of Mikhail Frokov last time out. There is another yellow flag. We've seen a few of those, but it's probably just cars going off track, slightly missing their braking points. So that is something you'll definitely want to keep an eye out on. We haven't had a safety car yet. Hopefully we don't get one. Which, I mean, we do have functionality with the UI to where we can do that. Actually, Joseph German does go ahead to top the timetables in the Haas Toyota. So it's the 2023 spec Toyota currently taking charge here in Bahrain, which is very interesting. You would think if it was a Toyota, it'd be the current spec, the 2024 spec. But no, it's a 2023 Haas Toyota currently sitting in P1 at the moment. It's 3/10 quicker than Machete and Frokov. Frokov now actually up into P3 himself. So, very interesting stuff here going into qualifying. We're going to actually go ahead and switch on board to Tristan Mendy in one of the other BMWs currently sitting in P14, the number 15 car. We'll see how far he is off of pole position. Currently 3.152 seconds off, with a lap time of a 1 minute 50.284. Oh, but he stopped on track. I wonder what happened there. Maybe letting some of these other cars pass because he was on the cooldown. I'm not sure, but that is a parked BMW, and he's back in the garage. We're going to go ahead and go with the van wall of Christian Tenerelio. The gold van wall here. He might actually be the only van wall currently racing at the time. It's good to see that we have representation of all three boutique manufacturers here. We have the Isota, we have the van wall, and we have the Glickenhaus. We only had Glickenhaus for the prologue. We actually had both Glickenhauses present, which is awesome to see. But even better now that we have three of them represented here today. So, in the comment section down below, who do you think is going to go ahead and stand victorious amongst these cars? Is it going to be Christian Tenerelio in the van wall? Delano Hilla in the Glickenhaus, in the Isota Fraschini, or will it be Nico Perez in the Glickenhaus? Very interesting to see these cars battle. The Glickenhaus and the van wall are pretty similar to each other. No hybrid, rear-wheel drive only, but the only difference is that I believe the Glickenhaus does have an extra gear compared to that of the van wall. The van wall only having a 6-speed. Which does hurt it on straight, so especially at Le Mans, it is going to be suffering because of that Mulsanne straight. But we are down to the last 2.5 minutes of qualifying. Toyota sits on top at the moment, with Ferrari and BMW just shortly behind. But we have Cadillac, who's not too far behind the top trio. But right now, it's looking like a Haas Toyota pole position for Joseph German. We'll actually go on board with him right now because he is currently about to do another lap. 2 minutes left remaining, and it takes about 2 minutes to go ahead and do a lap. So every driver will have at least 2 more laps right now if they get out at the moment. And I think if you don't start your lap now, you're pretty much just fresh out of luck. Actually, I believe this Toyota might actually be on an out lap. So we're going to actually go on board with... Who have we not been on board with as of yet? Oh, now we actually lost a driver, so now we're down to 19. I think either one driver retired or somebody just overall left the session. Go ahead and check and see if I can get any follow-up information. Yeah, I don't see anything about... We had 20 drivers at one point. Maybe one driver just retired from the session. That's a possibility, but I'm not seeing anything about a driver who has passed. So yeah, we are just down to 19 machines, which still a good amount of cars currently on track. Formula One uses 20 cars, so we're just one off of that. And we're about to see very talented individuals go ahead and take their track in these hypercars, and we'll see just how they do. We'll actually go on board with, let's see who else we can go on board with. Someone we haven't been on board with yet. The manager, Raskovic, we're going to go ahead and just be on board with the Porsche Penske machine. As he begins another lap, we'll go ahead and see how he does, if he can improve. Currently sitting in P9 at the moment. Oh, but that's a big slide. If you lock up your brakes, it is very easy to slide in the tournament. That's his qualifying done. He won't be able to take another lap. We'll go on board with Nathan Perrone in the Cadillac. We'll see if he can go any further. Currently sitting in P6. Bonalumi actually going ahead and moving up into P3 momentarily, but Mark Santos in the Toyota is going to go ahead and move up into P2. We'll see if the Cadillac has anything to say about it. Are we going to see a position change for Nathan Perrone? No, we will not. He will probably have one more lap, so this is going to be the final lap for every driver. So after this, we will go ahead and get started with the race. We will go ahead and see if we see any other changes, but other than that, I think we might be good to go for the actual race. We'll go ahead and see if, like I said, we'll go ahead and see if there's any position changes. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any position changes here, so I believe, yep, I believe this is it. Keeping an eye out. Maybe we'll see some position changes, but not sure. All right. What I was saying on Perez, and I may have actually said the Glickenhaus has 6 gears, but I was trying to say that the one difference between the Glickenhaus and the Van Wall is that, well, yes, they're both rear-wheel drive without a hybrid system. The Van Wall does have only 6 gears, while the Glickenhaus, I believe, has 7 or 8. I think it's 7. So that was what I was trying to get at there. If I did say the wrong thing, I do apologize. But yeah, I do believe that is it for qualifying. I believe qualifying is done and dusted. Oh, we did have somebody leave, I believe. We'll be going ahead and getting on track very shortly. Just going to go ahead and wait for the procession to go ahead and commence, and then we'll go ahead and get drivers on track here shortly. So go ahead and take this time to grab some snacks, grab your favorite beverage, and sit back, kick back, and get ready, because we're about to have a very spicy race here in Bahrain. And yep, here we go. Gonna go ahead and just take some more screenshots for the actual qualifying position so we can have them on record for scoring purposes. Alright, so in about a minute's time, we're going to go ahead and get ready for the first official race of the season, and it's going to be a spicy one, ladies and gentlemen. So, the Haas Toyota of Joseph German will go and take pole position, which is pretty interesting considering that in Formula 1, they only have one pole position, and that was Brazil in 2022 with Kevin Magnussen. So this time, we're going to see Haas take a pole position much quicker than their Formula 1 counterpart. And we're going to go ahead and get ready to begin here. 25 seconds left before we get started here with this race. You'll see the countdown on the top right of your screen. And it's going to be go time here very, very shortly. So, who are you guys rooting for? Go ahead and put that down in the comment section down below. And we're about to go ahead and get started here with the race. 3 seconds left to go, and it's about to be those 5 red lights that are going to go out. And it's lights out, and away we go. We're going to go down into turn number 1 on a formation lap. So not quite the jump start yet. I jumped the gun on that myself. But I believe we're going to go ahead and see the run down to the light. And we're going to go see how much chaos happens here. In turn 1, lap 1. We know that there's chaos afoot. We know what's going to happen. They're coming up to the front line now. Comes to jockeying for position. And it's lights out. There we go. Right there. For the Toyota admits all the guards. There was there's a spin there. Toyota's going around. I believe that was Mark Santos getting turned around there. Pole sitter of Joseph German dropping way back to P5. Roshan Machete goes ahead and takes P1. Dan Wilson right behind him in the BMW WRT. Chaos here, but the art car of the RLL BMW of Mikhail Prokop is going to go and move up into P2 as it sits right now. I mean, he was our winner from the Portimao prologue. So, excellent stuff there from the BMW. But right now, Machete in the Ferrari, keeping his nose clean and keeping that car facing in the right direction. But it has been an unfortunate start for the Toyotas here. Just to go ahead and get started. I mean, they started off P1 and P2, and now they are P5 and P15. So definitely not the start that Toyota would have wanted. It looks like we're having a little bit of a battle here between Nemanja Roshkovic and Mikhail Prokop there. Actually, no, Dan Wilson is the one that he's battling with. It's a battle here for the last podium spot at the moment. It looks like that Wilson is going to go ahead and have that track position, so he's going to get the inside of the corner first. He'll be able to take the apex square, but it might be a switchback. And Nemanja Roshkovic is going to go ahead and make a stand. He's got it done. Can he hold it? It looks like Joseph German is back in the podium spot, but Nathan Perron is going to go ahead and try to challenge for that position. Oh, it's a gaggle of cars here coming up to this corner. We'll see if there's any other major moves going on. Nope, not quite. Maybe Mark Santos can go ahead and get past the Vandal, and I believe he does. Oh, it's a spin for the Cadillac! Another spin for another Cadillac. Another spin for another car. This time it's a Cadillac. Last time it was a Toyota. And so far, I mean, turn 1 has just had 100% rate of chaos. And a battle between the Vandal and Toyota getting pretty spicy here. A lot of contact there. I mean, it looks like Christian is flashing his lights out. Mark Santos not too appreciative of that little maneuver, causing a little bit of contact here between the Vandal and the Toyota. And it's been so far pretty decent amount of chaos going through the first few laps of this race. I mean, it's an hour race, guys, so try not to cause too much damage on your cars. As we see a potential move for a position into the Cadillac now, as we kind of just go back. I mean, Rovan Machende has just totally taken off as we kind of watch the Vandal of Christian Tenorelio here for a moment, following the Porsche Penske of Formula Jonah, who himself has actually made quite a few positions. Started P18, now up into P14. Good stuff there from the Porsche Penske. We know the Porsche does have pace, so excellent stuff there from him. And we'll see the Isotta Fraschini of Brandon Dills. He's going to go try to make a move onto this other boutique, but it's going to be Christian Tenorelio that's going to go ahead and keep that position. Brandon Dills actually moves from the position to the number 3 Ganassi Cadillac. Nathan Perron is going to go ahead and use that to start pitting straight. Going into turn number 1. He's got the inside line and he's got the speed. We have to remember, the Vandal just does not have 7th gear. It tops out at 6th. So on large straights like that, it just does not have the pace compared to the Cadillac or the Porsche or any car that's really in this competition. But it's going to be the end for Nathan Perron. He's going to get the move down on Formula Jonah, forcing Formula Jonah to go wide a bit. And Jonah is now going to be under pressure now from Christian Tenorelio in that gold van wall machine. Oh, is he going to try to send it to the inside? Not quite. Just does not have the real estate to get it done. But he might have better track position going up into the next corner. It's going to be a great battle here between van wall going into turn number 9 and 10. Some of the hardest corners, if not the hardest corners on track. Jonah is off track. I want to do a force out there by Christian Tenorillo. So Brandon Dills is going to go ahead and make a spot, but will Formula Jonah have an answer? We'll go on board now with the Porsche as he eyes up the 2 boutique cars in front of him. One goes wide. He'll get a position here onto Brandon Dills, and Formula Jonah might have some pace on this van wall ahead of him. As now we're actually going to go on board between Daniel Curbs, who is currently trying to chase down the BMW of Dan Wilson. Pretty good start here for Peugeot. This is the 2024 spec Peugeot, the Total Energies TCO machine, the number 94. Currently chasing down the number 20 WRT BMW. We'll see if he can make a move here anytime soon. I mean, he's close enough, so I mean, it might be a close battle, but now, actually right behind him, we have a battle of 2 Porsches, the Proton Competition Porsche and the Penske Motorsport Porsche. So 2 Porsches battling it out now for P6 and P7. And actually, we're going to go back on board because there seems to be another battle going on. The battle between these the P14 through P16 between Formula Jonah, Brandon Dills, and Christian Tenorillo has just been booming as of late. Although right now, it looks like Christian has went ahead and kind of blinked off away from some of these cars. But we'll go ahead and see. Actually, I stand corrected now. They've caught up to a few of the other cars currently on track. We'll go on board now as the Lamborghini tries to chase down the Glickenhaus of Nico Perez. We'll go on board now with the Lamborghini. He tries to chase down the Glickenhaus, who's currently chasing a Hertz team. Oh, there's a spin there from one of the Cadillacs. I think forcing a different Porsche to go wide. I think that was Tristan Mendy and Damon Sead. I think they're both out of this race, so we've lost 2 cars already. I'm not sure who that was that went round. It may have been, yeah, I think it was Stellano Hilla. One of the other Cadillacs just not having the greatest of times here. As we go back on board for the battle here. This has been a massive battle. Last time the big battle was up at the front. So now we're going to keep going swing back to the battle between Dan Wilson and Daniel Krebs. Krebs did make up a position onto the BMW, so the Proton or the Total Energies Peugeot has pace right now, but it's going to be a tall order to try to catch up to Joseph German, Mikhail Frokov, and the big one, Rovan Machete. Machete right now is currently P1 with a 9.3 second gap to Frokov in the BMW. Now, I would just like to point out that this is kind of what happened the last time we had a race, the prologue in Portimao. There was a pretty big gap to Frokov, who was in second at the time, but the leader took on a bit too much ground and spun out. Are we going to see that again? That is the question at hand here at the moment. Or will Machete keep it off of the gravel like his former Toyota teammate did and go ahead and take the victory here for Ferrari? So stay tuned and yeah, just go ahead and keep an eye on it. Once again, guys, if there's any on board you would like to go on, or any car you would like to go on board with, just go ahead and let us know in chat, and we'll go ahead and do an onboard lap with that car. Just pure engine noise. You won't hear me yapping during that time, unless something happens, like the spin that I was actually on board with. But you'll just hear pure, raw racing excellence. So now we're actually going to resume the battle now. The battle here in the midfield. The midfield is looking very, very spicy. I mean, last time, like I mentioned, a lot of the battling was done at the front, but now, I mean, we're going to see Nathan Perron try to challenge the Van Wall for position, but the Van Wall gets a little squirrely. The exit of turn number 1 there, going into turn number 2. Still good defense against the Cadillac, but I think the Cadillac is just going to have to run up and is going to make the position going into turn number 3. He would have to hook it around the outside, and he does. Nathan Perron is going to go ahead and get that move done and dusted. He's going to go ahead and get past the Van Wall. Christian Tenorio, who just did not have the grip and just does not have that same straight line speed that Nathan Perron has. But I will say, this Van Wall is not slow by any stretch. We've seen some excellent racing here from Christian, and we'll see if he can go ahead and continue to stay on the pace with that Cadillac. Something that would definitely be very interesting, especially considering how Van Wall did in the real WEC. We're actually going to go a little bit further back to Stiliano Hilla chasing down Formula Jonah for P14, Cadillac versus Porsche. We'll go ahead and see how this battle goes ahead and transpires. We're actually starting next lap. We will go on board with the Cadillac. And Speed Ultra, welcome back, amigo. Glad to see you back. And just from my personal experience with mods, because I play a good amount of modded F124, yeah, mods do kind of break things at times, so that is understandable. But we're glad you're here, though. Currently we're on board. It looks like Hilla did get a little squirrel there in the Cadillac. I mean, it's pretty easy to do, especially if you miss your braking points. So now we're actually going to go on board with, let's see, who can we go on board with at the moment? We're going to actually go on board with Nico Perez in the Glickenhaus, who's currently under a lot of pressure from Alex Alfonso in the Lamborghini. I mean, this is a battle that's been going on for quite some time now. Quite a few laps between the Lamborghini and the Glickenhaus. Just excellent car positioning there for the Glickenhaus. The number 708 keeping the number 19 Lamborghini behind him. I mean, that is not a small feat considering the advantages that the Lamborghini has over these boutique manufacturers. But it looks like Nathan Perron is actually going to take a dive up the inside. He's going to get a move done onto Lamborghini, but is it going to stick? Nathan Perron had a spin in lap 2 of the race, which dropped him into quite a few positions. He does actually get considerably ahead of the Lamborghini. We'll try hooking up the inside, a slight bit of contact there between Nico Perez and Nathan Perron there. A little bit of contact there between those two cars, the number 3 Cadillac and the number 708 Glickenhaus. And he's got the inside line, but Perez does have the inside line coming up for the next corner. And Perez is being the American Minister of Defense at the moment in that Glickenhaus. But there's only so much defending you can do when a Cadillac just has that much pace. But he's right on the back of that Cadillac. So we're going to go on board now. We're going to see if he's going to make a move. If he breaks later, he can't get the move done. Is he going to do it? Cadillac's wide. This Perron has gone wide. These cars going side by side, going into turn number 1. We'll see who's got the better straight line speed. I believe it will be the Cadillac. He's battling for a position here. We'll see how it goes. Ooh, it's going to be dicey. It's going to be dicey. I think Perez did hit the corner. It's a little squirrely there. So, but he does keep the position. So he is not to P9. The Glickenhaus back down to P10. The Iron Lynx Lamborghini of Alex Alfonso is looking for the last point-paying position. Even though we show the top 9 due to UI limitations, we are awarding points to the top 10 here today. So we're basically following Formula 1 scoring. So basically the top 10 get points. So there's an overall standing for the drivers. So they'll all be graded accordingly. But also we are running a boutique and a boutique team and a hypercar championship. So all the brands will have their own championship, all the customer teams will have their own championship, and the boutique manufacturers also have their own championship. But they all score the same amount of points. So right now, the only boutique manufacturer to go ahead and get points would be Glickenhaus, with Nico Perez sitting. Actually, no, he's actually out of the points now. He is currently sitting in P11, so if you would have to get back in front of Alex Afonso to go ahead and get some points now. We'll go ahead and go. We'll see who's got a close battle. Oh, actually, I know a perfect battle to get on board with. The Haas Toyota trying to chase down the BMW of Frokov. And actually, it's going to be a battle here between Mikhail Frokov and Daniel Krebs. The Peugeot in P2 at the moment. It'd be a really good result there for Peugeot there, as the BMW is fighting for its life out there, trying to get a position. But if you're the one that makes a mistake or has any serious contact, the Haas Toyota of Joseph German is going to go ahead and capitalize. And actually, it doesn't even look like it's going to take even that, because the pace of the Toyota has already caught up to the BMW. We'll go on board now with the Toyota. That is the wrong camera. There we go. That's a better camera. As he's chasing down that BMW. He's thinking about move onto the outside on what would be the second DRS zone in Formula 1. Coming up to turn number 11. Very good. Gets a little score there, so it looks like those tires might be on the end of the line. Oh, it's stuck above the brakes there for the Toyota. Just not enough grip to get it done against the BMW of Mikhail Frokov, the Danish driver right now, chasing down the German driver of Daniel Krebs and the Peugeot. It would be a really good result there for that Peugeot if he could stick in P2, but right now it is an 18-second gap to Rovan Machete in front. That Ferrari just gone. Excellent stuff there. I'm sure the Tifosi are loving it after their kind of mixed fortunes going into or coming from Portimao. There'll be a really solid result there for Ferrari. We'll just have to go ahead and see if there's any other battles we can kind of go on board with. But actually, we're going to stay on board for the battle between Joseph German and Mikhail Frokov. Joseph German closing the gap to that BMW in front, as Daniel Krebs kind of benefits from this. It goes further in the distance, but track there for Joseph German. He gets a little squirrely. He's going to definitely lose time to the BMW in front. Just not liking turn very much. Just losing grip. I think that Toyota's just running on cooked tires at the moment. We'll go and see if there's any other battles we can kind of go on board with. Oh, here we go. Once again, a Toyota v Van Wall battle going on here at the moment. Go ahead and see if there's anything that Christian can do. It's just that Toyota's just got so much pace. Christian is flashing the light, so he's clearly not happy with Mark Santos, but I would be lying if I said this is the first time this race that we have seen that here. And I'm sure it might not be the last. But Formula Jonah is thinking about maybe getting a move to P13. I believe he would be our biggest mover so far in the session, because he started in P18. He's now up to P14. What is the race speed? So currently right now, I believe it's all default settings. So I believe everything is at its realistic setting. The only exception is the time. Typically, this will be an 8-hour race at Bahrain, but we are only doing 1 hour of racing here. But, I mean, there is balance of performance enabled for the cars, but overall, it is still just 1x everything. So fuel is at 1 times, tire wear is at 1 times, and I believe damage is at light. So currently right now, as it says, we do have 2 DNFs. We have Tristan Mendy and Semen Saeed. I might have butchered those pronunciations. I do apologize. Unfortunately, my mouse actually died. as we're trying to go and see who else we can get on board with here. See who can we... Alright, let's go on board with this battle. It looks like Nico Perez... Actually, that was not a battle. I was looking at the wrong numbers. But yeah, Nico Perez has just fallen way off of the pace of that Lamborghini. He was holding him off pretty well, but now it is an almost 9-second gap to the Lamborghini in front. And that means Mark Santos and the number 7 Toyota is going to be right up his gearbox here in probably a few laps time. Go ahead and get on board with the Haas Toyota of Joseph German, our pole sitter. Once again, trying to challenge that BMW for a position as it sits. But I mean, right now, it is just a massive gap to the race leader at the moment. We're actually going to go ahead and switch up some statistics here so you can see the actual distance between drivers. Ooh, it looks like it might get close now, but here's the thing, is that Joseph German has just not had the pace or the tire grip out of some of these corners, but it looks like whatever issue that was now got resolved. Maybe it was an issue with his sim rig or his controller, if he's one of the brave souls trying to race competitively on a controller, which if he is, then P4 on a controller is absolutely impressive. I honestly don't know where I'd be if I was on a controller. I probably actually will also be one of the drivers DNF'd. Anyways, so it's definitely a battle between Toyota and BMW. That is something that we even saw last week in Portugal, is that the big rivalry here is going to be BMW and Toyota. Two very big manufacturers, one from Japan, one from Germany. Toyota's been around since the start of the hypercar regulations, one of two manufacturers to start with these regulations, the other being Glickenhaus. And they've been champions so far every single season under the hypercar regulations. But they've only won Le Mans twice. And surprisingly enough, Ferrari has been the only car that's really been able to topple Toyota at Le Mans in recent times. Now, in other races, we've seen Porsche win in the WEC. And last race out, we saw BMW take a win here in Lightning Speed Racing. So it's not an RB18 of any kind. Or RB19, sorry. It's not an RB19 of any sort, but it is definitely a very strong car. It is getting close to the last podium spot, but just can't quite get it done. It's going to take a lot more than that to go ahead and try to knock off Frokov. Frokov, we know, has very solid pace. And it looks like Joseph German might be getting a little desperate to try to get a move done here onto the BMW in front, as the Peugeot of Daniel Krebs just flies away. Now 5 seconds ahead of this battling duo here. We're going to go on board now with the Toyota as it chases down that the RLL art car BMW, as we were calling it. A bit later on the brakes, but I mean, this is not really a good spot to overtake. We've seen some overtake attempts here end in tears, and more accurately spins. So it's not really the best spot to overtake on. There are a lot of good overtaking spots on this track, but your best bet really to overtake is that start-finish straight. And I gotta hand it to Frokov. Frokov right now is doing an exceptional job of just keeping that Toyota behind him. Good stuff there from the BMW. We're actually going to go, once we start a lap, we're actually going to go on board with this BMW and actually try to get a rear-facing perspective. Looking at that Toyota, trying to chase him down. Toyota was shaking for a move, but just doesn't quite get it done. Maybe around the outside? No, not quite. Not quite for the Toyota. It just does not have that tire grip. We'll see if he can get a move done here, though. I think the BMW is just having a bit more of that raw pace and just does not quite have the strength to get past. But Frokov does go a bit right there on corner exit. Let's see if the Toyota can capitalize. in the meantime, we'll go ahead and take a look and see any other battles we might be able to get on board with. It looks like we actually might have a battle here between Dan Wilson and Lamborghini. We'll go ahead and switch over to that battle for a bit. This time it's a BMW trying to tackle a Porsche, one of the Proton competition Porsches. Good stuff here from these two. Keeping it clean, you know, keeping it persistent. I just think that the Porsche is just having a bit more grip on corner exit compared to that BMW. But although I think the BMW did just take the corner a bit better. So Dan Wilson in that BMW making up really good progress here as he tries to get past the number 99 Proton Porsche of Bradley Kennedy. We'll see if there's any other battles up or down the grid we might be able to get on board with. It seems like everybody has spread out, but actually we can go ahead and possibly get on board with a few positions down. We can go ahead and see Alex Afonso and Johnny Luna go ahead and get at it. The Hertz Toyota Porsche taking or trying to defend from the Iron Lynx Lamborghini, the number 19 against the number 12. We'll go ahead and see if Alex can go ahead and make up another position. He is in the last point scoring spot, but he has got quite a good gap to Mark Santos behind him. It was about 5 seconds last time I checked. It is now 6.5 seconds, so maybe a bit of a mess up there from the Toyota. Hasn't been the greatest of weekends here for Toyota. Started off in first and second, but unfortunately due to some lap one shenanigans, both the Haas Toyota of Joseph German and Mark Santos, the Toyota Gazoo Racing Toyota, have both just had problems where they've fallen down the order quite a bit. Now, Mark Santos wasn't 15th earlier, so I mean, he's definitely made up some very good progress. But can't say the same about German. German started on pole position, pretty much got to P4, and then just kind of stayed there ever since. We'll go back on board as this battle is getting really, really heated between these two cars here at the moment. When this next lap starts, we will go on board with the Toyota Gazoo, or the Haas Toyota of Joseph German for a full on-board lap, and then we will be back on commentary. So, once this lap kicks off, we'll go ahead and get on board with the fully immersive on-board of Joseph German as he attempts to take away the final podium position away from Mikhail Prokov. We'll see if that is going to happen. We're going to go ahead and get on board now with the Haas Toyota, and we'll be back in a bit. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We had some really close battling here between the Haas Toyota and the BMW. just unfortunate. I mean, he got close quite a few times there, but just did not have the tire grip to go ahead and make it last. So unfortunate there. I just think that those tires are cooked. And speaking of tires, we'll go ahead and display that data on screen. Let's see what kind of tires everybody is currently running. Yeah, so far a lot of these drivers are running medium. So Joseph German and Dan Wilson are the only cars right now running on the hard tire compound. At least out of our top 9. I'm not sure about the other drivers. Can't see those stats, unfortunately, but well, maybe it's just the fact that those hard tires have just not been able to get the temperature here. I mean, it is pretty hot out here in Bahrain. The track temperature was around 100 degrees earlier on. I'm sure it might have cooled off a bit now that the sun's not quite out, but it was pretty toasty earlier on. I mean, the desert isn't exactly known for retaining temperature super duper well. But, I mean, maybe it's just the fact that those hard tires are just not warmed up enough to go ahead and just get that grip. We're going to go and take a look at how much energy is remaining on these cars. Quite a bit. And as Machete is going to be the first driver to pit, I believe. So Krebs will go ahead and inherit the lead for Peugeot as Machete goes ahead and makes a pit stop. As the invisible pit crew goes ahead and works on his car. He was on a medium tire compound, so we'll go ahead and see if he actually switched tire compounds. We'll go ahead and see. We'll be on board with the leader of the race for a majority of said race of Rovan Machete. He went on to another set of mediums. Now, there is no specific tire allocation required for this race. So you can do a double medium or you can do a no stop on the hard. And maybe that's what Joseph German and Dan Wilson were kind of betting on, is running the zero stop, but that fresher rubber is definitely going to have a pace advantage. So now we're going to go ahead and see if anyone else in that top 9 has stopped. I don't believe they have. Yeah, so out of this top 9, Rovan Machete is the first one to stop. And then we're going to go ahead and just go back to... Let's see how many positions everyone's gained and lost. Oh yeah, I forgot that UI thing doesn't quite work. I forgot about that. So, anyway, we're going to go switch back to the gap to the next car in front. Alright. And now, once again, the battle... Actually, we're going to switch to the Toyota battles directly behind that Ferrari on the fresher rubber. It's going to be Mark Santos, who is now inside of the points. Going to go ahead and try to make a move onto Alex Alfonso in that Lamborghini. Toyota v Lambo. We'll see how this battle plays out. I mean, Mark Santos, we know that 2024 Toyota has pace, but Alex Alfonso has pace, but Mark Santos goes ahead and gets spun around. He's off the track. Once again, Mark Santos, under pressure, just makes a spin. Unfortunate. It's just been a disaster class weekend for Toyota. It started off strong, but like wet paper mache, or by just wet like regular notebook paper, it just kind of crumples. Just kind of starts like tearing apart at the seams. It's just not been good for these Toyotas here in this race. Just unfortunate stuff here for that Toyota squad. I know they're hating it, both the Toyota Gazoo and the Haas Toyota squads. Just not having a great time here. We're going to go ahead and get on board once again with Dan Wilson. Currently trying to chase down Bradley Kennedy in the Proton Porsche. This is another battle that's been going on for quite a few laps now. But it just hasn't been super spicy compared to, like, let's say, the battle between Mikhail Frokov and Joseph German. It's been a really solid battles up and down the grid. I mean, for those first few laps, the battle for like P13 was excellent. You had Kristen Canarelio, Brandon Dills, and Formula Jonah battling elite. Also, Nico Perez kind of getting involved there for a little bit. It was a battle of the boutique manufacturers, which, as of right now, Nico Perez and Glickenhaus would be the top spot, although many points are being awarded to him because he is currently in P12, and you have to be within the top 10 to get points. So it's getting dicey here between the BMW and the Porsche, the two German machines going wheel to wheel right now. The Proton and the WRT, but that battle ends because we're going to see another pit stop for Dan Wilson. He's going to go ahead and make a pit stop for the BMW team. He'll drop a few positions, but we'll see. He'll probably be one of the drivers to do medium to medium. That is going to be a strat. I don't see refueling to be a problem. Maybe that is a slight possibility. We'll actually go ahead and switch on board to the Astilta Fraschini of Brandon Dills. Quite a good ways away from the Van Wall in front. About a good 12 seconds in front. As Dan Wilson is going to exit the pit, so we might see a little bit of a fight between Tenerello and Dan. As Tenerello does go ahead and get past in the Van Wall. He will move up a spot, but we'll see how long he can hold that spot, because Dan Wilson in that BMW, and we know the BMWs are extremely rapid, but also we know that BMW is also on fresher tires. But also, we know that Christian has been exceptional at defense here in this race. The number 4 Golden Van Wall has shown a gold level of defense in that Van Wall. I mean, keeping cars like a Toyota behind him for a few laps, keeping a Porsche behind him for quite a few laps. I mean, overall, just having exceptional pace in that Van Wall, despite the Van Wall's flaws and its missing gear. So good stuff there for him. Now we have 2 Toyotas in the points, both Toyotas on track currently in the points. We did have 3 Toyotas in 1 point, but 1 Toyota is out of this race. Actually, sorry, I stand corrected. Still, that was a BMW out. So we have a BMW, a Cadillac, and a Peugeot out of this race. So Stiliana Hilla, Tristan Mendy, and Simon Saeed are all out of this race. That are our 3 drivers that have unfortunately fell to the wayside and out of this race. So now we're going to stay on board with Formula Jonah here. At least until he completes the stop, and then we're going to go ahead and actually switch to the battle between Nathan Perron and Bradley Kennedy. Fighting for P5 at the moment, or fighting for P4 at the moment, as Machete actually does get very close to the P6 Porsche of Rashkovic. Or Rashkovic? Rashkovic? It's one of those pronunciations, I'm sure. Now we're going to go ahead and switch on board with that battle, actually. And there is a Lamborghini of Alex Aponto behind him. So let's see if anything can be done here. And I'm not sure why, but he let the Porsche back through. Maybe it was an overtake off track or something, and he knew he had to get that position back, otherwise penalties would be applied. That is a possibility. Well, it's not going to stop Machete, the race leader earlier, trying to make up a position. It looks like it's just a slight little smooch on the rear bumper of that Porsche. But I believe Rovin was thinking about a move, but just Nemanja just having better positioning of that Porsche. As we see Krebs now make his way into the pits. As we are over halfway done with this race, we'll go ahead and get on board now with Rovin as he goes ahead and tries to get past that Porsche. He gets close. Turn 1 is a good spot to overtake, just does not quite get it done. Just doesn't quite get it done, but maybe going into turn number 3, that is a possibility that we can see here today. Let's see. Nope, just better positioning. Positioning can pretty much make or break an overtake attempt on this track, so Roven just not really finding. I mean, this Porsche is really holding him up because this Porsche is on older tires. So, I mean, it's just not been super duper great. But of course, it looks like a little bit of contact there for between the Porsche and the Ferrari. The Ferrari's going to make a send on the inside. You see if that's going to stick. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. We'll see maybe if we can see an overtake being made here. Maybe not. I just don't. I think right now Nemanja is just holding up that Ferrari and allowing Prologue to potentially just go off into the sunset for another win if Prologue doesn't make a pit stop. There's less than 20 minutes of this race remaining now, but it does mean that Joseph German, who is caught back up to that BMW, is going to have another battle for potentially a race win. Will it be another BMW victory here in Bahrain, or are we actually going to go ahead and see a Haas Toyota go ahead and take the top step of the podium? We will see in about 19 minutes time. Rashkovic is Paris 2021. Honestly, we've seen a lot of those Minister of Defense type defenses. I mean, we're seeing one here from Rokov. I mean, looking at Christian Tellerelio and Van Wall was actually putting up some really solid defenses against Toyotas, against Porsches, against Cadillacs. Cars that all generally would have an advantage against the Van Wall. As we see a battle that might be going side by side here. We'll see if Joseph German can get in. Not quite. Apologize for that, everyone. Just getting a quick drink to get hydrated. And this is your daily reminder to go ahead and hydrate. Drink water. You know, a good amount of water too, not just a sip. Your body needs water to perform at its top potential. I mean, I'm pretty sure these drivers wouldn't be having a good time if they're all just dehydrated. Nope, go ahead and get hydrated. That is your official statement from Ruckus to go ahead and hydrate for today. Actually, we're going on board now. Mark Santos is... Oh, this is a big battle here between Rajkovic, Alfonso, and Santos. A little bit of contact there between Alfonso and Santos. And once again, the Minister of Defense allegations are still going strong for Rajkovic. He is keeping up some very solid defense as we see Alfonso enter the pits. But Daniel Krebs, who is on fresher tires compared to the Toyota in front of him, is right on his heels. Right up the gearbox of that Toyota. So we know that the Peugeot behind him does have fresher tires. We'll go on board now with the Peugeot. See if he can get a move done here, either this lap or the next. And right now, it has been a very good comeback performance for Santos. He started the P2, but fell down due to a massive spin into P15, and then had another spin earlier on. But now he's still within the points. He's within the top 9. So he is visible on our UI. So very solid stuff here from these drivers. As we see the Peugeot get ever so close, but I mean, it's the same case with Rajkovic earlier defending. I mean, granted, Rajkovic is on older tires, but I mean, it's just better car placement. Car placement can do wonders for, you know, your defense. I mean, that's basically a good majority of how you defend on this track is going to go ahead and just putting on your best. You're putting your car in the best position to prevent your opponent from getting the optimal line, either going into a corner or coming out of a corner, so that their line is compromised and you get the better speed. That is just how solid defense is on this track. A lot of good racing up and down this track as It's over for Nemanja. Nemanja goes ahead and goes wide and lets the Peugeot and the Toyota through. But we'll see if that Toyota can just fire away from the well, it looks like almost a bit of contact there. The Peugeot almost getting caught up in a sandwich in between the Toyota and the Porsche. So the Penske Porsche and the TGR Toyota almost sandwiching the Peugeot. But the Peugeot he's got a good slipstream. Can he make a move into turn number 3? There was a possibility, but he decides not to cook those tires too much. He's on fresher tires. He knows he's got the tire advantage compared to Santos, and we've seen Santos cook his tires a good amount earlier because he's had 2 separate spins at minimum. Might have had more, but there's the move we were waiting to see. The Peugeot gets a little squirrely, allowing for the switchback to happen. Daniel Krebs had a move, but just did not have the grip on corner exit. But it might be another shot up the inside. Going into turn number 10. That is an ambitious move there for Daniel Krebs. He's going to go ahead and move up to P6. He was P2 earlier, but when the drivers pit in, he actually might inherit the lead of this race, save for Machete. So he might actually re-inherit P2. Everybody else makes a pit stop. German is in the lead, so Frokov must have had either a pit stop or just a failure of some kind. We'll actually go and see which of these drivers have stopped, which of these drivers have not. Yeah, so Frokov must have just had an incident somewhere that allowed Joseph German to retake the lead of this race. 14 minutes remaining now, but here's something to note. And we're going to go ahead and pull back up the tires. So, we know that out of this top group, Joseph German is the only driver on the hard compound. And at this point, the hard compound is pretty much in its proper operating window. So right now, the hard tire at this stage of the race is about as good as those mediums are. It's way better than the used mediums are, but not quite as good as the brand new fresh set of mediums that some of these cars are having. Rashkovich goes ahead and decides to take the plunge into the pits. We'll see where he comes out. So German might be going for a no stop here, but I think he might have to refuel at some point. We'll go ahead and take a look at the energy remaining on these cars. 10% for a lot of these front runners. But there's 13 minutes left of the race. So if Krebs, for example, can go ahead and keep it at about 1% per minute, he'll get to the end of this race, okie dokie. But it won't be the same for some of the other cars, like Luna and Santos. They may have to pit in. Kennedy and German might have to pit in. So this may put Machete right back into the lead of this race. So we're going to go back to the gap between of who's next. So a few of these drivers now down a lap. I believe the current lap drivers are Brendan Dills and Formula Jonah. The 2 cars that have been lapped, unfortunately, but there's actually a boutique manufacturer currently sitting in the points, and that is Nico Perez. Perez sitting in P10 right now. So if some of these other cars pit and he doesn't pit, he might actually get points there for the Glickenhaus squadron, and it'd be early points, and points aren't guaranteed if you're one of these boutique manufacturers, just because how much of a deficit in performance they have to some of these other manufacturers. Like, I mean, Fanwall and Isoda aren't going to be as strong as like the Lamborghinis, or especially like the Ferraris, the Toyotas, the Cadillacs, the BMWs. I mean, especially in the case of the Vanwall and the Glickenhaus, the rear-wheel drive, no hybrid system, so that's already 2 disadvantages for those cars. Christian does lose a spot to Alex. Will go back on board with the Vanwall for a bit. And actually, coming up to the next lap, we'll go ahead and do an onboard lap. With one of these boutique cars, we'll actually do a full onboard lap with Nico Perez on the start of a new lap. Give these boutique manufacturers a little bit of time in the spotlight. And we'll just go ahead and see how the rest of this race plays out. I think Machete, though, did have the right idea. Now, we see Joseph German is coming into the pits right now. So he'll drop down spot, but Frokov, unless he does some massive fuel-saving techniques, he's going to have to pit in. Nathan Perron in the Cadillac also is going to go ahead and pit in. Kennedy moves up to P2, the Proton Porsche, but he's going to have to pit in. Undoubtedly, he'll probably come in at the next lap if he doesn't run out of fuel. A lot of these cars are just going to have to make their pit stops now, so Machete will come back into the lead. I think Krebs did make a bit of a mistake on his pit stop by not adding fuel to that Peugeot. So I think he may drop down a bit further behind a lot of these other cars as we're down to the last 10 minutes of this race. So possibly, I'm not sure who'd be on podium. I think Dan Wilson might have a decent shot at podium, depending on how long these pit stops take for these drivers, as we see Johnny Luna go ahead and make a pit stop for his Porsche. But, as promised, oh, never mind, he goes into the pit, so we will not be doing an onboard lap with Nico Perez. We're going to actually do one instead with Christian Tenorillo. We'll be back. A very decent lap. He got a little score there on the exit of turn number 15. So far, I mean, it's been a decent lap, and he's actually, as you can see, on the middle right of your screen, essentially, or middle left. Sorry, I can't direction apparently. Middle left. He's currently in 10th place, so he would actually get a point for Vanwall if it sits. If he doesn't go ahead and pit in. So, I mean, it is possible for him to go ahead and score points here for that Van Wall squad. If we go back to our regular trackside view, or should go ahead and put back on the gap to the next car for the intervals up ahead. And, yep, Krebs had to pit in again. Just ran out of fuel, I think. And I mean, that's unfortunate. He was definitely on track for P2. As we go now on board to Dan Wilson and Mark Santos. Actually, we're going to go up one and look at Mark Santos versus Bradley Kennedy. He ran to that car to the near edge of that fuel. So it looks like it's going to be a Ferrari, Toyota, BMW podium here. Not a bad recovery drive there for Joseph German. As we're going to go ahead and watch the run to turn one for Mark Santos and the Proton Porsche. But, oh, wait! Krebs is going to get involved here, possibly, forcing the Proton Porsche to go wide a bit. Oh! Big contact there between the Proton Porsche and Mark Santos, who's been involved in a little nudges here. As the BMW of Dan Wilson takes both of them on. See if he's going to make it stick, though. Mark Santos does have an inside line. And the Proton Porsche flashing his beams at Mark Santos. And a lot of drivers not happy with Mark Santos is driving here today. He's been in a few little minor fender benders here. So, I mean, we saw Alex Afonso flashing at him earlier, I think. Christian flashing at him earlier, and then Randy Kennedy flashing at him. So it is worth noting that currently we'll go ahead and run you through our top 10. We have Rovin Machete currently sitting in P1. The Ferrari taking the lead after the next round of pit stops for these drivers at the less than 5 minutes remaining mark, so about another 3 laps probably, give or take, for the front running car. And then we have Joseph German sitting in P2, followed by Mikhail Brokov, Nathan Perron, Daniel Krebs, Dan Wilson, who's under attack from Mark Santos. We'll see if he gets his move done in this quarter. Oh, he will, because Dan Wilson goes super wide, taking an IndyCar line. He is off the track. He might even lose a position now to Bradley, and he does. So, after move, and Bradley Kennedy moving up to P7. We have Carson points finishing winners today. All right, so we'll take a look and see if there's any really close battles. Not super close. I guess we'll go back to Dan Wilson trying to take a spot from Bradley Kennedy. That is the closest battle we have here. Four cars basically within a second of each other so far. Another flash of the high beams there. We saw a slight yellow flag. Oh, he just put a little too much throttle into it. He lost the back end, and Dan Wilson makes a spin in that BMW. Good thing Alex Fonso was a bit behind, so he won't really lose another position. But he did lose his chance to move up into P7, down to about 3 minutes remaining on the track. So, very interesting stuff here happening on track. Let's see who we can go on board with. And we will actually have interviews after this. We're going to talk to our top 3. We'll talk with whoever that may be, but at this point, it's looking like it's going to be Rovin Machete, Joseph German, and then Mikhail Frokov will be our top 3. So we'll go ahead and try to get those drivers for interviews if they have mics. At the end of this race, go ahead and get their thoughts and their perspectives in this race. And just how it played out for them. So, we are down to the last 2 minutes left of this race. The Ferrari having an 18-second gap to P2, so unless Machete makes a massive mistake, then it's going to be a P1 for Ferrari. They will take the first win of the season, the first win in the full season of Le Mans Ultimate, the first points paying position. And actually, let's go check and see who's got fastest lap here at the moment. We'll go ahead and see if I can spot that. It looks like right now, actually, Daniel Krebs so far has the fastest lap of this race with a 1 minute 46.8. We'll actually go on board with the Peugeot right now as I continue to look through. Yep, that is actually the fastest lap time of this race at 1:46.896. In the hands of this driver right here, currently sitting in P5 at the moment for the Peugeot Total Energies team. It'll be a decent start to the season for Peugeot. Could have been more, but I think just that pit stop kind of really messed up their chances of winning this race, or at least getting a podium, because we knew that Ferrari was pretty much long gone as we're down to the final minute of the race. Can we see Mark Santos close the nearly a second and a half gap at the last minute? This will be the last lap for a lot of these drivers. Actually, we're seeing a battle here between some of these boutique manufacturers, between Christian Tellerano, or Tenerelio and Nico Perez, to see who will be the better of the two boutique manufacturers. As they're the two closest boutique manufacturers, they're going to be battling it out here for the last 20 seconds of this race. Ooh, Christian is getting so close to Perez right now. It's going to be a battle here. This will be the last lap for all these drivers. 5 seconds left, so this is the official last lap of the race. Ferrari trying to get past the van wall, although he's under no direct pressure himself. But the van wall not want to give him a position because he could go ahead and try to take the fight to Nico Perez for P12. I don't know if the van wall is getting the blue flags or not. He's eventually just going to give and let he's actually going to get the Ferrari, it looks like. Possibly coming up to the last corner here. But it doesn't matter in the end, because going up this finish right now, Roman Machete wins 1 out of 5 right here. He wins the season opener. That is the race done and dusted for today. So, Roman Machete rounds up P1. It is a win here for the Scarlet Ferrari. And then Joseph German in the Haas Toyota, he will come home in P2. Mikhail Frokov rounding out the podium in the BMW. Excellent stuff here from the top three. Contrary to their luck, Portimao will be P4 for Cadillac in the hands of Nathan Perron. Mark Santos on a decent recovery drive, but he will go ahead and finish in P5. Bradley Kennedy, Portugal will go ahead and finish in P6. That's done and dusted for the Proton Porsche. Dan Wilson in the BMW will take up P7. Alex Alfonso right behind him in P6. P8. The number 19 Lamborghini will finish in P8. Daniel Krebs must have had another incident. He will finish the race in P9, but still with the fastest lap of the race. So I believe he does get an extra point for that. And Nemanja Rajkovic will go ahead and round up our top 10 here. So that is our race done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. So that is round 1 done and dusted. So we're going to go ahead and read off our finishing drivers. So we have Roman Machete in P1, followed by Joseph German, Mikhail Frokov, Nathan Perron, Mark Santos, Bradley Kennedy, Dan Wilson, Alex Alfonso, Daniel Krebs, Nemanja Rajkovic, Johnny Luna, Nico Perez. Oh, actually, Christian passed him? Not sure how that happened, but I guess we'll take a look at the professional results. Nico Perez and Christian Tellerelio, then Brendan Dills, and then Formula Jonah is the last of our finishing drivers, followed by Steliano Hilla, Tristan Mendy, and Sayman Saeed have all been DNF'd. So, yep, here we're going to go ahead and take a look at our standings here. And then fastest lap goes to Daniel Krebs sitting at P9, as we see it there. And actually, according to my timing table, it does appear that Perez did actually finish behind. Maybe Nico Perez had penalties. That is an interesting one for sure. All right, let's go ahead and try to get some interviews going. Let's go ahead and get that underway. All right, we're going to go ahead and see if we can get some interviews. All right, we have one driver, our race winner, Rovin Machete. How are you doing, good sir? Oh, actually, I cannot hear you. Hang on. Interesting. Not sure why can't hear you. Alright, try now. Maybe it's because I'm doing, maybe it's because I'm streaming. It's not like in interviews for whatever reason. Technical difficulties, folks. We'll go ahead and try to get that fixed. Alright. Let's try now. Yeah, okay, so unfortunately interviews are not quite working out as we had hoped. Gonna go ahead, because I mean I've seen the UI that they're popping up that it's talking, but it's not showing that they're actually talking for whatever reason. Alright, well, unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to get interviews to work this time around. We'll go ahead and try to get them up and running for next time out. But thank you guys so much for hopping in, and we will see you guys next time at Le Mans for the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe.